Thanks for tuning in to the Medevac podcast, powered by the Robert Irvine Foundation, whose mission is to support and strengthen the physical and mental well-being of our nation's heroes and their families. I'm one of your hosts, David Reid.
And I'm your other host, Christian Meyers. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Medevac podcast. If you're new here, there's a price for the show. You have to share it with a friend or family member if you're getting something out of today's episode. And trust me, you're going to get something out of this one today. If you notice, we're not at our normal studio. It's because we are in beautiful Rockwall, Texas this morning at the Texas Gun Ranch. They've been nice enough to lend us their facility to record in. So big thanks to them. If you're ever in the Dallas or Rockwall area, come check them out. Our guest today is Tyrone Canfield. He's got a pretty interesting past. He spent about 10 years in the Navy as a SEAL between 2007 and 2017. He's transitioned out. He's now a real estate developer and a NASCAR race driver.
Yeah.
NASCAR driver?
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Throw out any terms you want.
Yeah. He is a race car driver. That's badass.
This is an impressive resume.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy resume for sure. And I mean, I still feel weird trying to attach to any of those names because, I think in our communities, it's always, how much better can I do? And sometimes imposter syndrome comes around. And,
Oh, yeah.
Man, I feel that.
The imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I think that means you're probably onto something. I think imposter syndrome is our way of telling ourselves that we're challenging.
Yeah. Well, in the last, 3 to 5 years for me, it was just, I feel like I went dark, and it wasn't because of any specific reason. I was just not, I don't know. It was just an overall imposter syndrome feeling. After COVID, and again, I try not to really complain about this because COVID, people had to sacrifice their entire livelihood for COVID.
Sure.
And COVID just kind of took away my ability to race cars. I try not to really complain about that because it's, in retrospect and in the big picture of people, trying to save their entire businesses and their livelihood. And a lot of people lost that, right? And that was, a lot of my sponsors were, small, mid-sized companies. And,
that's the first thing that they're cutting too,
cut
right?
the fat. And that's, immediately when I remember watching Donald Trump announce COVID-19 as I think it was a worldwide pandemic. He called it a pandemic, and as soon as I heard that word, I said, "Son of a gun, man! This is."
That's it, huh?
Yep, that was, and things were already crazy up to that point. I was in LA doing security for a couple of clients, and we had the riots there.
LA was exceptional.
It was bizarre, and
what a wacky time.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I think. I think as long as the history books aren't altered, I think COVID-19 is going to go down as something pretty crazy for a long time. I mean,
I was just having this conversation the other day. It's a silly little thing, but I was at HEB getting some groceries, and I was about to put my cart up, and someone said, "No, I'll take your cart." And I said, "We're healing as a nation."
To wipe it down.
I don't know if this is laziness on your part or if you're being nice.
I said, "You'll take my cart? I don't have to park it or put it through the car wash?" But it is. It's just damaged. It's damaged everybody's mentality, just like social closeness at all.
Yeah, again, I don't like complaining about. Honestly, it was a major learning point for me that my fundraising game sucked. A lot of my ideals were based on just my past. Black Rifle Guys. I was working for Joe Rogan at the time, and he was a big part of it. And so it really, sold me on the fact that I have to up my game to be able to get back into it. Mm-hmm. And I can't say I really took the time to do it properly, just because I still feel that imposter syndrome. I haven't been behind the wheel of a car in years now, and it's like I still call myself a NASCAR driver, or at least part-time, or want to be, but just
so you're still pursuing
getting back into that sponsorship game. And now, unfortunately, that whole COVID era laid a new foundation on how companies are spending their marketing dollars, right? And a lot of, I mean, companies learned a lot too about what they do and don't need for bottom line, and part of that was marketing dollars and office space and all this other stuff.
I'm sure you've heard the old adage of we don't have the budget for that right now. Quite a bit.
I that kind of just became part of my nightmares. Was that statement was no, we're not in that position right now.
Let's revisit this conversation in 2026.
even if you get that far, you probably normally don't even get that. Let's revisit this. It's just more like, no, I think we're good for now kind of deal. And so it's been, again, I'm not going to complain and say it's been a rough few years because I can't go race cars, but it's definitely, I've had this drive, man, since, I got into BUDS in 2007 for SEAL training, and right before I graduated in early 2008, we were in third phase of BUDS, which you're out on San Clemente Island off the coast of California. And man, I think we were 4 or 5 days from leaving the island, which is like you made it kind of deal. Like you're starting to wrap up and clean up and all this other stuff. And it's just, I won't call it relaxing because it's still not relaxing, but compared to what you have been doing, you're finally like, holy shit, I'm this close to graduating BUDS at least. You don't get your trident then, but
still.
So it came down to like the last 4 days, and one of the instructors came up to me and he goes, "Hey man, you need to come with me." And I'm like, oh shit, what now? Like, damn it, I thought I was good, and
free and clear.
And we walked into one of the offices and he handed me the phone and I'm like, what in the world is going on? He's like, hey, this is Red Cross, you need to talk to him. And I'm like, what in the world? So I picked it up, and it was one of my family members saying that my dad had passed, and I was like,
oh man,
just immediate shell shock, just because there was, now looking back, there was stuff kind of leading up to it, but I didn't know about it. So when you're in third phase, you're not allowed to call out, family's not allowed to call in except for emergency. If they need to get a hold of a student in BUDS, they can call Red Cross will get the message to BUDS. But so it was just kind of a big shell shock, and I had no idea what happened. Anyway, instructor was like, hey, you're getting on a plane now, go back to San Diego and you'll fly home and all this other stuff. So
what does that do with your training?
Well, thankfully, we were, in the last 4 or 5 days before graduation. So there was one check in the box that I had to miss, which was HAPS training for free fall.
Okay.
So, literally, I think it's the day after, it might have changed by now, but the day after we graduated BUDS, we'd go up to MCS Miramar and get in the pressure chamber and make sure you can clear your ears and all that stuff for free fall. And they take you up to altitude and all that stuff. But so I had to miss that, and for whatever reason, the Marine Corps would not let me make it up until the next class came through, which seemed odd that they wouldn't just do an hour chamber session for me to stay with my class. So anyway, I missed my BUDS graduation, and then I missed that HAPS class the day after, and so I got rolled literally. I graduated, so I got back and got my BUDS. It was like a really weird situation walking into the instructor's office. Like, if you had been in that office before, it was because you were in trouble of some sort, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now you're graduated and you're walking in there, and most of the instructors were very somber, and it was like a very weird feeling, and our third phase proctor just kind of handed me my certificate, and he's like, dude, I'm sorry, congratulations on graduating. I'm sure that's not how you wanted to get it done, And so anyway, it was kind of a pastime of mine and my dad's to watch NASCAR, and it wasn't anything. He'd take me to a race every now and then if it was close, but it was just the ritual of doing it, and I think that happens in a lot of families where, as a kid, you don't really realize the importance of this. It's just something that happens. It's the ritual.
It's your family.
And then you attach to it later, and you're like, wow, I wish of course, as a kid, you don't have the foresight to be like, man, I need to enjoy this time right now with whoever this person is. But so it was kind of a thing as soon as I, graduated into the teams, probably after my first deployment when I had steady paycheck, house, all that other stuff, where I started like, I want to get back into car stuff. And, because growing up, I was always tinkering with dirt bikes or, I bought a random project car off the side of one of my neighbor's houses when I was like 15. It was this old Porsche 944 that I just thought was the coolest car ever.
Oh yeah.
And I think I bought it from him for $800 or $900, and the rabbits and mice chewed through the wiring. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just roll this into my mom's garage and replace the whole wiring harness. And that was a 2-year project that eventually my buddies had to finish up for me when I left for the military. But and it was, I don't know, just something for me where I was like, I want to get back into this. Like, not that it's my roots racing cars, but always been interested in it. So I had the means and ability and place to store cars, and so I just got heavy into cars. And I think it was probably after my first deployment, maybe my second deployment, when I don't know, if you're going to stay in the teams for 20 years, you got to live the lifestyle. And I respect the hell out of the guys that do live that lifestyle. And I don't regret any of my time with the teams, because it was awesome. Like, I mean, obviously I got to experience a lot of stuff that 99% of the population never gets to see. And it was awesome. But I don't know. It was just kind of one of those things where, I did re-enlist. I say I did it for the devil's money because I was into cars at the time, and I liked that re-enlistment bonus, right? But
pretty fat for you guys.
At the time it was good, and so re-enlisted up to my 10-year mark, and I don't know. It was just kind of shit or get off the pot kind of thing. Like, you either at 10 years, you either go to the full 20, or get out at 10. I felt like, and I didn't really want to.
Yeah, that's the hump, right?
Yeah, I didn't really want to live the lifestyle for another 10 years. Yeah, and I was like, I always had the entrepreneurial mindset. I feel like, and it just 10 years was it for me. So got out, and just previous to getting out, I really didn't know what else I wanted to do. I wanted to go race cars, but man, it was absurdly expensive.
Yeah.
And I was going through some transition programs at the time, and some of my buddies, I'd go through the program, and these programs were awesome if you were really serious about getting into business, C-suite level type stuff.
Okay.
They put you in front of some good people. Real connected type people, or companies immediately looking to hire potential C-suite and above type people, and I'm here, and you go around, introduce yourself, and I just didn't have a lot to say about what I wanted to do in business. I really didn't know it existed, inside of business. What does a SEAL get out and go do in business? I don't know, and so
write a book first.
Yeah, well, I forgot that part. So
there's still time, Jay.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
There's still time.
So I just, I never had a ton to say to those guys, and it was a thing where eventually I kind of got called out, which thank God I did. Okay. Because it wouldn't have, I would have continued most likely in just attempting to find something in that realm where, my buddy John, he called me out one day and he's like, dude, no offense, but this really doesn't seem to be what you're gonna do. So what do you really want to do? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, trust me, man. I put plenty of SEALs through this program, and you're not on that plane right now. So what do you really want to do? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And he goes, like, for real, you have no idea? I said, no, I have an idea, but I can't. Like,
articulate it.
I'd go race cars right now.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, why don't you go fucking do that? And I'm like, John, do you understand how much money it is to go race cars professionally? Like,
I'm gonna be a rock star.
Hey, man, unless you're hiding a ton of money that you're gonna fork over right now, I can't do that. And he goes, like, is that actually what you want to go do though? And I'm like, yeah, I would kill to go do that. And he goes, then go fucking do that. He goes, you're a team guy. You'll figure out how to get the money, but go do that. He goes, don't waste your time here. Yeah. He goes, be honest, don't waste our time either, you know? And I'm like, oh shit, that kind of hit hard, you know? Like, okay.
That is fair.
Fine with getting called out and understood. So yeah, I came to one more event for them, and the next time intros came around, I stood up and introduced myself as future NASCAR driver instead of wanting to get into business. You know, I just stood up and said, I'm Taylor Canfield, and I'm gonna go be a race car driver. And everyone laughed, you know, whatever, kind of, oh, he's a comedian type deal, and it felt good. I was like, damn, that did feel good, but now I feel like a fool, kind of. Everyone knows me in here. So.
Maybe that's what you need a little bit more of, man. Like nowadays, because you're feeling this imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
You're like, but if you maybe go back to the basics, stand up and say, I am a NASCAR driver, and see if the hot word of the century is manifest, right?
Or if it resonates still, right?
Yeah, it was
just, you got to believe in yourself first.
Yeah. Well, and that's so. I got through that initial phase of like, I'm gonna do this now. How do I do it? And it was a awesome adventure, because what I did is there's another guy, Jesse Wuji. He's a reserve officer for the Navy, but he was racing in the K&N Pro Series at the time, which is now NASCAR's ARCA Series, but. So I knew he existed. I'd never met him, and they had a race up in LA. So I drove up to LA, and I mean, you know, just hung around in the pits and found out where the team was that Jesse was racing for, and I really hadn't met Jesse yet, but found somebody on the team, and I was like, hey man, like, what's it take to race for you guys? Like, I knew they were bottom of the barrel team. Fine, that's exactly where I want to start. You know?
Sure. Right.
And I can't remember who it was from the team that told me this. I don't remember if it was the owner or somebody else, but they were like, you know, you bring us this much money and we'll put you in a car, kind of deal. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's easy. Like, well, I mean, that's a decent amount of money, but that's easy.
The process. You bring us money and we'll put you in.
Well, that's what I was told. Yeah. And so I said, okay, when? And they're like, I mean, as soon as you can, but you know, we're racing here again in 6 months or something like that. And you know, again, I was working Hollywood bodyguarding BS at the time, which I hated.
Yeah, I gotta ask, were you practicing racing on the side?
Yeah. Okay, so it was,
you're racing around cars and stuff?
And I told myself getting out, or when I was getting out of the Navy, I would never do contracting. I would never do the security piece, because all the team guys get out and do it. Yeah. You know, all spec ops guys get out and do security, and I'm like, I just don't want to be that, just another name for security, whatever.
Sure.
I ended up doing security. I mean, it lands in your lap, and it's easy transition and all this other stuff. But,
flexible. So
that was always a means to an end for me of just keeping bills afloat to go race cars. But yeah, I spent 6 months just raising money, you know, by myself. So just doing whatever I could, selling stuff, trying to raise this money. And I went back to the team and I'm like, dude, I'm here. I got it. Let's go. And they're like, well, we didn't actually think you were serious. There's a whole lot more you got to do to be a race car driver. And I'm like, son of a gun, man.
But I got the money.
Yeah. So
that was the first test.
Yeah. Well, so then I got linked up with Jesse and the team owner at the time. And, team owner was this cool guy. And he was like, dude, listen, come up to Idaho, where his team was based out of. And he goes, we'll put you in some modifieds and some other stuff locally, so you can start literally at the bottom and you work your way up, And
okay.
so I drive up to Idaho and met my now really good friends, Kent and Stafford Smith, the Smith family, who ended up later on being my spotter and crew chief for NASCAR. And, so Stafford was also a current racer in the series, and same thing. I mean, it's just expensive, and unless you're from a ton of money, like it's hard to get going with a consistent, good result basis, just because, man, it takes money. But so anyway, I'd go up, spend a week with them, do a couple races, drive back, do security, drive up, do a couple races, kind of type deal, and the team owner eventually was like, dude, this is gonna take you forever. Like, this will take to get what we need to get you for your NASCAR license. And he goes, we're gonna do it differently. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing? He goes, we're gonna lie. And I said, like, how do we do that? And he goes, well, now you've done all these races. He goes, fill this out. This is your resume now. Tell me what races you've done. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yep.
Because no one's
really.
Gonna check.
I mean, his word was kind of like the approval from NASCAR type deal. Like, trusted you. Now, to his credit, I had done well in the equipment we had at that time. And so it wasn't like I was a danger to somebody on the track, and he knew that. He was a long-time racer, old school guy. And so it was a matter of like, we know you're not going to go out there and be dumb. Like, you're doing okay. Yeah. So let's just advance this agenda a little bit here. Sure. Fucking lied my ass off on that resume. Here comes a NASCAR license back in the mail, right? And I said, okay, great. This is a cool first step.
Nice guys do finish
last. Man, yeah. I said, that was awesome. Let's go. Then the real money started, and I'm like, oh no. Yeah. I don't have this much money to bootstrap myself, And,
whole number zero of that.
Yeah. Well, and the good thing was, the team at the time, they were... It's a sucky thing to say, because no team likes feeling this way. No driver likes being on a team that is this way. But there are what we call field fillers. In order for NASCAR to put on a good race, you want to see a ton of cars on TV. When they're crossing the starting line, you want to see strips of cars. Yeah. Like a lot of cars, and if it's just the high budget teams racing, there's only going to be 10 to 15 cars on the track at a time.
Kind of boring.
Kind of boring, right? And so there are field filler teams where NASCAR has a business model for these teams that, you can make money just having cars in the field. And NASCAR knows you don't have good equipment. Okay. They know, this shit falls apart, right? Yeah. And so it was a benefit to me at the time, because in that equipment I could kind of bootstrap myself, and it was a matter of the team owners making money already from NASCAR, and he would make me good deals. Like, dude, you just buy your tires. Like, come up, prep your own car, buy your tires for the race. You got to buy your fuel and your tires, and I'm not going to charge you specifically for this race.
I'm very curious. Is that the norm for every driver?
No.
Fuel and tires? They got to have sponsors. How does that work?
Well, I'll tell you this. There are, if you look at the current field of, we'll just go with Cup Series drivers.
Yeah.
That's the top, the big show. That's where everyone wants to be, is in the Cup Series. The top, I'll say top 10, maybe 15 cars, they're good drivers. Mm-hmm. The driver, you have to be good to get to that position in the rankings. But honestly, there's 1,000 other drivers that could never get the money that would whip up on those guys. I mean, there are damn fine drivers outside of the top 10 and 15 cars in the Cup Series in NASCAR. I mean, there's dirt track dudes all over the United States, small local asphalt guys that are badass drivers. Sure. But man, it's a matter of who can get the money to get up there, because this is a business for those teams. Mm-hmm. You can't, now if you can get the sponsorship, good for you. But I've only ever found, and after getting to kind of look behind the curtain of NASCAR, that any driver that's in the top of 10 or 15, they have connections to somebody somewhere.
They sponsor Hop too, right? So for instance, they start out at a small company, and then M&M approaches them and says, "Hey."
Again, I maybe I'm wrong on this. I've really never heard of M&M approaching a random driver and saying, "We want to sponsor you." It's more of, they were tied to a team.
Yeah. Okay.
The team went out and got this sponsor because, say for instance, Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah. I mean, they're massive. They're huge, and they have a marketing platform, right? They have 4 of the top drivers in the series, and so that team can go out and pull that sponsorship and say, "Hey, we have a platform to be able to get you ROI and all this other stuff." Yeah. And M&M's would say, "Good, perfect." And M&M's was with Joe Gibbs Racing forever and a day. I can't say I know why they pulled out in the last couple of years, but
so it really is about networking.
It really is. It's who you know, not what you know, kind of deal. And again, so I feel like there's drivers that will be unknown for the rest of their lives that could come into the Cup Series and smoke everybody.
It's like the pay to play.
Yeah, but if again, like just before we started recording, if your uncle's the CFO of Coke, or you're in. Like if you can find that dollar, you can get up to that top 10 or 15 spot. So it's a huge money game, and it sucks when you actually realize, like, man, the chances of getting to that level are slim to none. Yeah. And I'd say the same thing about being a SEAL. The chances of being a SEAL are slim to none. However, the only thing you have to do to be a SEAL is not quit.
Work hard.
You have to perform. Yeah. But just don't quit. It's not a money game. Like, you can be
physical,
the brokest kid ever, and you can still go be a Navy SEAL.
A lot more variables.
Which might actually help you, being the brokest kid there.
Yeah, no,
it would actually. That's very true.
I'm not giving up.
You go in there,
like I'm going back to that.
You go in there with some humility and a work ethic, and just don't fail, don't quit. You're going to be a Navy SEAL type deal, and I make that sound easy. It's not, but when you get into NASCAR,
there's
the chances of being in that are slim to none.
Well, it's external, right? I think Navy SEAL, you have control of that.
Yeah, you do.
To a limited degree, right? Is you have the ability to say, "I'm not going to quit."
Yeah.
If you go in that and you in the NASCAR field and you say, "I'm not going to quit," well, you still need to have the money. You still need to have the support and the who you know.
Well, that was the big thing for me. Is before I kind of knew all that, when I was still naive and I was still just pumped up SEAL, ready to go do. I said, what would my dad want to see me do next? What's the next fucking hardest thing I can think of to go do? Because I don't know. I'm just attached to shit that's hard to do. Yeah, and you kind of it's a chase. It's a thrill of the chase after that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of guys, even just conventional guy, well, we'll get into that in a minute, but my point being is I didn't know that there was another threshold I had to meet, which was you got to fucking know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really, really do. And unless they're able to write fat checks, it's going to be a rough road.
Yeah.
Well, didn't know this. Said I'm gonna go be a NASCAR driver. My dad would love to see that. And so it, again, I had a great couple of companies on board to help me along with buying tires. And it was really cool. I had just started doing security work, and I was up in LA. I still had my house in San Diego, but I was living up in LA, and I drove back down. As soon as I decided, like, you know what, I am going to go pursue NASCAR or whatever, and I went to the first SEAL that I knew that was mildly successful at the time, and it was Andy Arabito of Half Face Blades.
Oh, yeah.
And went to the shop, was hanging out with him. I'm like, hey man,
Brad Shop.
I said, and he was still small compared to where he's at now. He was still small at the time, but doing successful sales and all other stuff. And I said, hey, would you consider sponsoring me for this? And he's like, oh, that's fucking cool. Yeah. How much you need? And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. I need to buy at least 4 tires for this next race. Well, what's 4 tires cost? I was like, $1,500. He just wrote me a check for $1,500, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Like, this is something that can happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking badass. And
how cool.
Man, so Andy Arabito was my official first monetary sponsor in NASCAR, which was awesome. And same thing with a lot, the whole, very blessed to be a part of special operations network and communities, because despite what a lot of people read in the media of dudes, going after each other and cutthroat, whatever, this and that, the core of the community is very supportive, and I love it. I love being a part of it. So, so it just kind of snowballed from there into another 15, maybe another $2,500. Maybe I get 2 sets of tires for this race, so I don't have to save tire and whatever else, and I can actually, get moving along here, and it worked up, and Black Rifle got on board, and I have to say when I was working for Rogan, it was great just being able to meet everybody and kind of be in that network. And
were you doing security for him?
Yeah, so I was in the Hollywood sector of security for, I don't know, a year and a half, and I had miserable clients. I just, their problems didn't seem to be real people problems. Like their heads were in the clouds kind of deal. And this isn't everybody in Hollywood, but it's a pretty fucking toxic place. Yeah. And I was very unhappy. And I quit. Like I was ready to pull. I had no plan, but didn't want to stay there kind of deal.
Yeah.
And just kind of out of the blue, Taco. Did you ever know Taco Dan Cerrillo?
No.
Just a great guy. Okay. Without kind of going into Dan's details, Dan unfortunately passed from complications he gained in the teams, which I think we're coining it breacher syndrome now, where heart problems, essentially your heart quits evacuating all the blood at once, and slowly your heart just kind of keeps filling up, pumps more in than it pumps out, gives you a heart attack kind of deal. And Dan, God bless him, saved everything I was doing at the time, because he got the call from, as far as I know the story, Andy Stump was good hunting buddies with Joe. And they were on a hunt, and Joe's expressing, hey, maybe I need to build out a security team kind of deal. And Andy's like, I got you,
Sure.
Andy called Dan. Andy was actually one of my second phase instructors and was hated, feared, revered, like God, we hated Instructor Stump.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I kept touch with them when I graduated or got out of the teams or anything, but we were always kind of 1 degree of separation type deal, and got to know him a little bit more through his out of the team works and podcast stuff. I'm like, oh, he's not that bad of a guy, you know? He's probably a pretty cool dude. Well, then circle back to, you know, Andy hits up Dan and says, because Dan had a security at the time. Dan was kind of a legend in the security world as far as big time clients, and so Dan started, you know, building the security team. And he called me and said, "Hey, are you?" I think he put out a post in our private group, and it was like, "Anybody in this area looking for work, hit me up." And I'm like, "Damn it, man! Like I just said I was getting out of this. I don't, but I'm here. I don't have a plan." And I hit him up, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here in LA. Like I'm free. Like, what do you need?" Kind of deal. And he was like, "Well, I'm not gonna tell you who it is." I said, "Fine." He was like, "But meet me here tomorrow. We'll have dinner tomorrow, and then if you pass the interview, we'll go meet the client," type deal. And went and had dinner, and went to a very nonchalant building the next day, and waiting for the client in rocks Joe Rogan. I said, "Oh, I can probably do this one now."
Yeah.
So got the pleasure of kind of help building up that team, and so we were with him in LA for a while, and
That's awesome.
you know, Joe is just one of the smartest human beings I've ever met as far as his ability to absorb and regurgitate information. Like, it's bizarre. The man's a conversation artist, and he was very open, which I think a lot of people agree with, until, I don't know, recently they're kind of calling him like brainwash move to the right kind of guy, because he used to be you know, a proclaimed Democrat, voting Democrat, and then he was kind of in the middle, you know, hey, I'm in the middle, whatever. And now people are like, oh, he's far right and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, like,
So, I mean, if
sorry, people, you know, change some of their views. Anyway,
And then you ask those people, like, have you ever watched the show? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Why would I?
Yeah,
Why
I
would
don't need
Yeah, where he still proclaims, like, I'm still proclaimed, like, I'm a socialist.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, most of my beliefs, I'm a socialist.
Well, and so, but Joe just had the desire to just learn everything that he could, you know, and so he'd just come talk. If he was bored, whatever, he would just come talk to us, security guys, and thankfully, you know, we got to hire all SEALs for his detail, and so it was really cool being able to, you know, hang out with the guys and do security and stuff. But you know, he would just come learn from us, like ask questions.
Yeah.
How did this work? What did you guys do here? You know, and you know, eventually he got to the point where he was tired of the stuff going on in LA and California as a whole, and he was like, dude, we're moving. I said, where are we moving to? Let's go, you know, and either Idaho or Texas. Okay. Well, he picked Texas, and so that's what brought me down to Texas
Interesting.
initially, and I ended up breaking off and had just kind of a disaster. So I went to work in the oil and gas industry down in Houston, and it was a disaster. Put me in a real bad spot for the next couple of years, which would be the preceding, essentially. Now I've been with my wife coming up on 3 years, so it would have been 2020 to 2022. I was in a bad spot. And it's my own fault. I put myself in a bad situation in Houston, and I eventually pulled chocks, like, out of Houston, moved up to Fort Worth, and I had a buddy, my buddy Steve, that had an empty airplane hangar.
Okay.
And apparently I was bitching enough hanging out with him. He was like, dude, just move into the hangar. Like, I'm not gonna charge you anything. Just move into the hangar.
Okay.
I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah. Or will it get you to quit bitching about your fucking life? And I'm like, maybe. Can we try it? You know? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, when can I move in? He goes, when do you want to? I said, I'm gonna be up here next week. Like,
Yeah.
So I moved into this fucking airplane hangar
Wow.
and lived a bachelor life with my cars and hanging around a bunch of neighbors that are just genius mechanical engineers building their own planes and all this other stuff. But I also did myself a disfavor because I allowed myself to literally retreat from everything. I mean, I pulled away from everything.
Yeah.
I put myself in a dark hole, and yeah, it set me on a bad track. And I credit not any longer being in that to my wife. I was at the end of my rope as far as trying to date and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I met my wife, and God bless her, she allowed me a chance to be a part of her life, and so we've been married coming up on 3 years now. And
It's a nice way to put it.
yeah,
Still in the hangar? I'm just kidding.
no, she we'll just say she loved the hangar idea.
And were you dealing with mental health issues?
Yeah,
Drinking or?
nope. So
Reclusive.
we're very reclusive. I have to say that
No social interaction.
I never got to the point where I considered suicide.
Sure. Okay.
But I very well now understand how guys get there.
Yeah.
And so I started my own nonprofit in 2016, Hope Green Light Society. Really my fault. I kind of let it go while I was in that hole. I didn't do a ton recently with it, but I used to take guys out to Glamis, California. If you guys have ever heard of Glamis.
The dunes.
I got addicted to the sand dunes.
That's so awesome.
Horsepower and just, amazing.
Oh yeah.
And, I was taking, guys I worked with, SEALs that we had learned were close to sticking a pistol in their mouth. And I never understood. I knew, man, that has to suck. Like, let's try and help these guys, whatever. I never understood it. And I couldn't. I really, just my own thoughts at the time were like, how can life be so bad that you want to take yourself out of it? And I was at a crossroads because I was like, I don't understand why you would ever think of doing that. Like, that's silly. Why would you do that? Type deal. Like, life isn't that bad, But I wanted to help the guys, and then I went through my own thing, and what a, in hindsight, great learning experience, because I then understood how you could get to that point.
Sure.
Like, I was like, holy shit, like, now I understand it.
Yeah.
Now I understand why it happens and why it's so hard to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It really, I didn't talk to anybody about it. I thought I can help myself. Like, just quit being a weenie and just get out of it. And it's fucking rough, And so, again, guardian angel, my wife, kind of came in and helped pull me out of all that. But it really helped me to further connect with that area of mental health, where after that, again, I understood and I said, this needs to be talked about more, and then I never talked about it. And it was like, I don't know, I was still kind of in it, but I think it's just vitally important that it's not a sign of weakness. It's, what I came to find out, and I won't completely attribute it to this, but my hormones were jacked.
Yeah.
My testosterone. I had feelings about it that's probably what was going on, but I never went to seek help for it. I just didn't want to admit that it was an issue.
Sure.
And finally met the guys from Warrior Health Foundation, Sean Rosario, also saviors, I think, in special operations community. And, they said, dude, a couple of my buddies, Brandon Tucker and a couple other guys, hey, have you ever got your hormones tested?
Yeah.
Nope, never. I did actually early on in the teams. I was feeling a little bit off, and I went and got my hormones tested, and at 27, 28, I think, my testosterone was already plummeted. You know, and I went through a holistic route at that point, just because, you know, TRT and all that stuff was massive taboo in the teams at the time. It was very, very bad. Like you could be kicked out immediately for that type of deal. So I went holistically attempting to fix, and it didn't really work. But I just kind of forgot about it after that. Like, hey, just sack up and get the shit done kind of deal. And then I reconfronted it after realizing, like, I was close. I wouldn't say I was as close as some guys, but again, I got to the point where I understood why guys contemplate suicide. And I said, holy shit, that was a scary place, you know? And went to Vets, if you've ever heard of Vets, Veterans
Exploring Treatment
Solutions. Yeah. Marcus Capone. Yeah. Great organization. Went down to Mexico and did the psychedelic retreat, and it was fucking miserable. I had a terrible time. But
tell us about your experience.
Oh my gosh, man. So
you did the Ibogaine and the 5-MeO.
Let me preface this, because I don't want to scare people away from doing it, especially if you're a veteran and you're struggling. I would highly encourage it, just because the results strictly speak for themselves. I don't have to say shit about this. Look at the results of this stuff. So I had it was really kind of a cool experience as far as reconnecting with some guys. You know, I went through buds with a guy, and he was our class clown, like our light, like awesome dude. And I didn't know he was going to be on this retreat, and ended up meeting back up with him. I said, holy crap, dude, I've not seen you since essentially we graduated SQT, and he was a different person, a sad person, you know, and I felt that. I was like, damn, like, okay, you know, we're in good company here as far as people that I would trust are also here type deal.
Okay.
And so I went into it with as open of a mind as I could, and so we went down there, and as far as I remember, for the Ibogaine, they dose you based off of body weight.
Yes, yeah.
And I was the fattest fuck there. And I got this fucking horse pill of Ibogaine compared to everyone else. It's like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is mine so much bigger? Like, well, it's based off body weight. And I'm like, fuck, I'm fat. Like,
mine was like half of everyone else.
I was like, I okay, all right, I'm fat, I get it. Like, whatever. So I have this thing with puking, man. I really don't like to puke, you know.
Ibogaine is
it's from the soul too.
You're gonna puke.
It's from the soul.
Yeah, so we all take our Ibogaine and, you know, go into the room, and you lay down, you put your eye mask on, and you just kind of wait for it, right? And I felt it coming on, and they kind of give you cues like, oh, you'll hear buzzing or something like that, and I'm like, oh, there's the buzzing. Okay, I know it's in my system, it's coming. And then I heard my buddy on the bed next to me roll over and start puking. I said, oh, fuck, no, like, why? And I was like, I don't want to puke. And I literally got in this mode where I just sat there.
I don't want to puke.
I laid there, and not going to puke. And I just repeated that to myself, and I didn't puke. I wanted to, but I didn't end up doing it. And in hindsight,
you should have.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just, if it's telling you to puke, roll over and puke, right? Because what I suspect happening is, when you puke, you probably puke up some of that Ibogaine that's still in your stomach, right? and whatever's in your system is enough to get you to where you need to be.
Sure.
Well, I absorbed every last bit of this horse pill of Ibogaine.
Yeah.
I was fucked up for a week.
Oh,
It
man.
was miserable. So that's Friday night, and you go through the night, and I imagine you sleep through some of it. I don't really know if you sleep or if you're just kind of in a real deep, relaxed state of weirdness, but
It was weird.
you wake up Saturday morning and I woke up and everyone's already up and about and it's a very medically did you go to vets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Okay.
both did.
Yeah.
What years?
October 21.
Okay, so right around the same time, you're in the room with a bunch of mattresses on the floor. Or
21? 22. October 22.
same format though, where you're hooked up to an EKG.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you're rattling the.
So
Baraka.
it's a very medically curated environment.
Oh, yeah.
Before anyone asks questions,
Oh,
like
yeah.
these people take this very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Vets and Marcus, this is not a game to them. It's a very medically curated environment. So it's very safe. Let me just put it that way again, because I don't want to
There's
discourage.
nurses there. You're doing fluids. You're hooked up to an EKG.
I don't want to discourage anybody from doing
clinical
this
settings.
because
Speaking of, their documentary is about to release on Netflix.
Perfect.
First week of November.
all right.
So, if you want to see what it looks like,
Do you know the name of it?
I'll look it up right now. Yeah, I was
So-
just on with Marcus
It
a couple
was-
days ago.
It was a bizarre experience because I woke up. I actually woke up to the doctor waking me up, like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I woke up and I'm like, "Where the fuck am I?" I'm like, and I see everyone's like happy and walking around. And he's like, everyone's downstairs eating all this. I'm like, I can't really move. Like I don't feel good. I feel like super sick, And he's like, "Well, is there anything? Can we get you anything?" And I'm like, "A cold apple sounds really fucking good right now." And he's like, "Oh shit, cold apple." Okay, and where we were at, and it's not. Refrigeration isn't like it's a commodity down there. So you only refrigerate what you have to, and when you have 10 or 15 dudes down there, you're not going to refrigerate a gazillion apples so somebody can have a fucking cold apple.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, okay. They start scrambling and I went back to sleep. And I woke back up to my buddies next to me, and they have a bowl with ice on the bottom, an apple in the middle, and ice on the top, and they're like swirling the ice around this apple to make it cold for me. And I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, and they're like, "You said you wanted a cold apple." I'm like, "Oh, whatever. I'm not going to question. Like, let me eat this apple." And I went back to sleep. And I went back to sleep from Saturday morning until Sunday morning.
Wow.
And finally Sunday morning, I had to piss like a racehorse. I was like, I have to go.
Oh yeah.
And I tried to stand up, fell flat. Like, I had to have dudes under each of my arm
Oh yeah.
standing there with me so I could take a piss, right? And so my equilibrium was gone.
Toast.
It was toast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is Sunday. Sunday evening is when you're supposed to do 5-MeO DMT, and the doctors are like, "Hey, we're kind of getting ready. You want to come downstairs?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't.
I feel like death.
I feel terrible, And everyone else is all happy and so lucky. You feel great." And I'm like, "Fuck you guys. No, I don't want to do this. Like, this has been terrible so far." And so I went downstairs, and I'm kind of sitting there waiting my turn, right? And there's one more level below where you go individually to do fight. It's individual only at that point. It's not a group activity. Well, my buddy Brandon goes down before me, and I was never a Dragon Ball Z person, but I've seen people post where he's powering up or whatever, and he's screaming and he's got this aura around him powering up. Well, I hear that coming from the basement when Brandon is down there, like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "What the fuck is going on down there?"
That one scares people a little bit. Yeah.
And I'm like, "No fucking way!" I don't know if he's enjoying that, or if he turns out he was enjoying it, but I didn't know that, And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing this." Like, dude, I'll stay the night and I'll go home with everyone in the morning. And they're like, "Please go do this." And I'm like,
people's reaction.
Like, I was like, "Oh my Okay, I'll do it, and I went down to the room, and it's very zen and peaceful, and you're looking out over this veranda into the ocean, and like I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is okay, like I'll get through this or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't really tell you what you're going to experience with 5-MeO before you do
No.
5-MeO, right?
Well,
I had no idea what to expect.
you can't explain it.
No, you
anyways.
can't. It's-
You couldn't prep anyone
I'll
for
put
it.
it in one word. It's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.